Hey everyone, CerebralTackle back with you again today. We have something a bit different. This is the wife's idea. I guess we're going to call it What's in the Bag. Now, for this first kind of trial episode, I'm going to give you the rules. She's put a bunch of ideas in a hat and has a bunch more in reserve. She's going to present it to me. I'm going to draw one out. It might be a technique. It might be a specific bait. Either way, I'm going to show you how to rig it, how to fish it, maybe even tell you some stories and some background information on it. Who knows? It's going to depend what comes to mind on whatever it is I draw. So this is the trial run, guys. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let us know in the comments section if you like this concept. And maybe even give the wife a few ideas of what you might want to see. So let's get right to it. Okay, here we go. I have no idea what this is, guys. She hasn't told me anything, so it's going to be a full-on surprise. Beetle spins for crappie. I guess it's going to be a crappie video today, fellas.
I love me some crappie.
Okay, folks, since we have our subject, this is, it's hard to see probably, this is our crappie spin box. It's got an S-ton of different actual Johnson beetle spins, as well as some H&H Cajun spins and even some bet spins. I absolutely love the beetle spin. It's a very, very underrated bait. It's incredible when it comes to pond fishing or springtime crappie, whenever they're spawning up in the shallows. Love the beetle spin. If you're fishing a new body of water, especially a small body of water, you really cannot go wrong with a beetle spin. It's a great search bait for smaller panfish whenever you're in a new area. Now, see, guys, I looked this up a long time ago and I could never find an answer. I mean, depending on who you talk to, the beetle spin was created somewhere in the late 40s to somewhere in the mid 60s, and could be a half a dozen different guys invent the thing. But the concept is simple. The beetle spin is nothing more than a jig head with a plastic bait attached to a small arm spinner. Now, Johnson really brought the beetle spin into fruition kind of, I want to say the 70s to 80s is when it really hit its stride and become super big. And well, they did wonderful with it for many years. And they had the very first beetle spins that were actually made out of something another, just straight plastic, kind of biodegradable fish food material. And I forget what they called the line of baits. I even have a couple somewhere. Let me see if I can find one in the box. I thought I had one in the box. Oh, there we go. It's been used a while too, guys. Now, see this particular beetle spin here? It's got the paint knocked off of the eyes because it's been used quite a bit. But this is an old, I forget what the line was called, but it was a Johnson's beetle spin from early 80s. I want to say 82 to 84. It's yellow with this black curly tail. And their whole premise was made with real fish food. And I don't know how they impregnated the baits back then. It was before Berkeley took off with the real impregnated baits, the true biodegradable baits. But this was Johnson's version back in the 80s. I found this bad boy on eBay and purchased it for nostalgia's sake. Couldn't help myself, used them, and I've caught plenty of fish on them. So, the little sucker works. Now, what I tend to use those for is, like I said, shallow structure, especially farm ponds, creeks, they're wonderful. And don't get me wrong, big lakes too. Whenever the big bluegill and crappie are spawning in the spring, they'll absolutely kill. They'll catch bass too. They'll catch sizable bass, trust me. I mean, if I caught, a 4.5, 5 pound bass on a 35-year-old small sassy shad, one of those can do it too. You just got to be careful and make sure you have your drag adjusted right, because you don't want that light little hook to straighten out. As far as the sizes and types, it's unbelievable now. Like I said, you have Johnson's, which is now part of the big conglomerate with Pure Fishing. Their plastics and their quality doesn't impress me anymore. If I had to choose a brand of beetle spin kind of configuration that I like now, it's going to be the Cajun spin from H&H Lures. I think their attention to detail, I think their plastics pours, their colors are a whole lot better than what Johnson's has to offer now. Now, as far as some of my favorite colors, I'm a big fan of the H&H version of Bullfrog. This one has a gold blade. Love the bulldog pattern here on this gold blade. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful white, green, and black pattern. Love the bulldog. Caught a lot, or not bulldog, bullfrog. Caught a lot of fish on the bullfrog. And they also have a color, I think they call it chartreuse craw. Chartreuse orange craw, I think, or something along those lines. I cannot tell you the fish I've caught on that bad boy right there as well. It's kind of hard to see there, I know. But it has a nice little orange stripe down the back. Little crawl pattern to the front. Has a nice red head. This thing has caught me a ton of fish. The colors are pretty much endless, you know. I've got everything from the old school yellow with black stripes and the black with yellow stripes and kind of that bright orange crawl pattern. I have a black, red, and yellow. I mean, my gosh, guys. Look at that. That little sucker already tried to escape into a hole he didn't belong in. But anyway, you know, this is one of my organization habits, like I've told you guys about before. I have everything labeled by color, by size, you know, love it. But there's a reason. Not only to keep organized, but I have a box of just beetle spins because I love beetle spins that much. They're a killer bait. You know, if you're looking for crappie during the spawn or big bluegill, when they're out there on beds as well, you know, I can't tell you enough how productive a beetle spin can be in searching and finding those fish. And you can get them all the way up to like a freaking ½ ounce and all the way down as far as I want to say a 32nd or even a 64th in some cases. Itty bitty little suckers. But that's not from just Johnson's. That's going to be from H&H and Betts and a couple of the other brands. Betts even has some of their bodies that have the rubber spider legs kind of threaded through the plastic body to give it a little bit extra more commotion as it's being pulled through the water. So how I would fish them is just fan casting the banks. Keep them shallow. Run them up and over small sticks and cover and in and out of other kind of, you know, brush and even some vegetation. Make sure to pick the vegetation from around the swivels and the blades to kind of keep it freed up. But, you know, things like that, it works, man. It catches. I guess I really don't have a lot more to add on it than that, but it's a fun bait. Any questions, Mrs. CT?
For those that are maybe not as up to the lingo of fishing, what does it mean to fan cast?
Oh, what does it mean to fan cast? Okay. Fan cast is when you arrive at an area and you're just kind of covering water, okay? You don't just throw to the same target over and over. You might hit it a couple of times and you might fan out, okay? Hit not only the 12 o'clock position, but the 11, the 10, the 9, you know, the 1, the 2, the 3, you know, you kind of cast parallel to where you're standing and all areas in between. You just kind of fan out where you're casting. That's what it means to fan cast for someone that might be new to some of this jargon and a beginning angler. Any other questions?
Yes. So do I need to reel it in slow? Do I need to reel it in fast? How do I reel it in when I reel it back in?
Very good point. To beginner anglers, guys, you really want to reel this bad boy in slowly. Just enough to get that blade kicking. You can reel it a little faster, but it will roll on you with too fast of a retrieve. So if you notice the bait starting to spin or roll or kind of getting off its carom and not just kind of a wag, but kind of a real hard flip, you're reeling it too fast, slow it down. Keep in mind, you want to keep it in the strike zone of those fish a lot longer, and you can do so by a nice slow retrieve. Another way you can reel it slower is downsize your bait, right? If you're using a 1/8 ounce and you're fishing really shallow water, it may be too heavy for you. So go to a 16th, go to a 32nd, something smaller. You're going to have to use lighter line, but go something smaller. You can keep it in the strike zone longer.
And should I hold my rod tip up high? Should I lower it down towards it? Exactly how should I do that?
Another good question. That all depends on the cover you're fishing. If you're fishing really shallow, you're probably going to want to hold your rod tip kind of high. Not so high you can't get a good hook set. And I'll get to that in a second. But the shallower you're fishing and the more structure you have to deal with, the more you want to keep your rod tip elevated so you can crawl up over that structure coming in. As far as setting the hook, you want to use a more limber rod. Too stiff of the rod and you'll pull the bait out of his mouth and pull it away from the fish. What you want to do is whenever you get hit, continue to reel slowly. Let your rod load up. Let him set the hook in himself. If he approaches it, grabs it, and you continue to reel, you'll lock him in, get him, and then bring him up.
That was my very next question, so you're good.
Okay, so guys, I guess that wraps it up for the first episode of What's in the Bag. I hope this works. It's featuring Mrs. CT, and we both appreciate you guys for showing up. I'm going to get this thing edited and throw it up there, and tell me if you like it. Tell me if you don't. Maybe give Miss CT some ideas of some things you might want me to cover and see, and she'll put them in the hat, and we'll see if we can't get to them. Thank you guys so much for being here. Appreciate you so much. And until next time of What's in the Bag, keep it wet.